text from her. And she said, Sharon, did you remember to
Right.
take some food
Yeah.
over for
Yeah.
those cats?
Yeah.
The ones with
That's all she ever worried about. She.
Now, and so I said, yes. So she had bought the food and she said, I don't want to go over there. I'm scared of that place. I said, well, bring it to me and I'll take it. And then the next thing I was, the next day, I was better.
Me too. We were working on a program. We were working semi-underground, but we were working on a program for about a year. And it's my whole basis for what I need to do moving forward to help with this outreach. And so I want to make sure.
I mean, I'll off in City Council in 5 minutes, okay?
Right.
All I want to do is cats.
Right.
And I mean, whatever I can do.
I've got some projects that I'm working on. I'm working on a couple of grants because and I think I've talked to you about this before. A couple of years ago, I started talking about it. That the only way we're going to fix this problem is we're going to have to target certain areas and start really working those specific areas because you know what we do. All best friends and some of those other animal outlets and all those have estimated that there's 100,000. How much is probably 150? There might be 200,000. And there's no way. I mean, we just won't ever have the resources. If they gave you $10 million, you still couldn't afford it.
What I want to do is have mandatory meetings and I want a project, an ordinance like they Johnny Jackson and how to, so that we can control their comments. See, one of my problems is people will come in and see my voice. I'm going to end up in jail. One week I was explaining some of these crazy people. I said, I hold these cases. I said, you have them fixed. When they get sick, I'm going to take them. I take care of all of my clients' cases. They get in there, they get sick. I take them to the vet. I have spent thousands of dollars on vet bills for my colony cats. And it really takes me long. And I have to fight people over them putting foods and they'll poke for it in the ground.
Right?
And what I want to be able to do
Is that, are you still in one of our publics too? Is that you? Yeah.
I want to be able to check the police and say, look, I am the certified. This is a certified colony. And it's my home. Right? I said, that person doesn't have a certification.
So I talked to the woman from Jacksonville not too long ago.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a number of speakers, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing started. Unfortunately, we have so many speakers that we're not going to be able to do the 3 minutes, so we're going to do 2 minutes this morning. So here we go. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda for the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting. Citizens wishing to address items on the agenda should sign up to speak to such item at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the Gary Sansing Public Forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. At the chairman's discretion, the Gary Sansing Public Forum may end 5 minutes prior to the scheduled start of the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting to allow the meeting to commence on time. So as I said this morning, we have 13 speakers now, so it'll be 2 minutes each. I'll call your name. If you could please be as brief as possible, we all greatly appreciate that. That way we can start our 9 o'clock meeting directly on time. So our first speaker this morning will be Ricky Wyrick, followed by Pamela Wyrick.
That's in order. He wants to give his time to me.
We don't do that. We don't do that.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay, so we're going to take Ricky off. Ricky, you're done?
please.
Okay, Ricky's off, so Pamela, you're up first, followed by Jerry Price.
So Pamela Wyrick.
Yep,
Okay.
you're up. Jerry Price, you're on deck.
She's supposed to bring these up to you. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
We'll get one of the staff members. Sharon will get that for you.
It's short.
Thank you. Good morning. You're recognized.
Good morning, and I sent an email out to say thank you to one of our representatives because I have a positive. Good morning, Commissioners. We want to begin on a positive note. I have reached out in emails to a few of the previous county staff that I have mentioned in the past meetings and letters. We are extremely pleased that for each email sent, a quick reply came with a positive, encouraging response from those county staff. We are here today again for the time asking for any updates concerning the flooding issues caused by Holiday Builders Schooner Landing subdivision. The builder is still building site, still causing drainage, mud, sediment, and weller to our property. The visits by Mr. McCracken, Mr. Blanchard, and Mr. Skipper to see the actual problem, a 50-year-old ditch, not non-functional, not a culvert, thus no water drainage to Jones Swamp. It was suggested due to the issues of mud, sediment filling the ditch, coming into our property, call Mr. Davis, Environmental Control. On the same day our call to Mr. Davis, he came out. Mr. Davis explained that he would report to Ms. Rosa Sednoff and Mr. McCracken, and for us to reach out to them. He did see the problem. I thanked him for his time and explained that this is a vicious circle. We started in 2019 with these people, but I did thank him. We have gone since 2019 to correct this. In a few days that we have observed from the homes in the back, there's 400 homes more from Weller in the back. There's one way in and one way out. Unfortunately, once it starts raining, the mud and the sediment fill that very small road. The cars left and right have to go through it. There's no other way, no other choice. It's really dangerous. Before the pads were even began, very before, at 2019, this could have been stopped. So whose accountability? First, the rain and flood created a true issue for Swamp, Jones Swamp. The code that I was questioning was 101/2. That is the very beginning when he was allowed to do this and bring in the dirt. It never flooded. We talked to our friends. They have been there 50 years. Thank you. We are looking forward to seeing appropriate measures to correct this. Engineers, whoever, whatever, needs to be brought to correct it before any more flooding. Please protect our home.
Thank you.
I am so grateful for you all, and I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Jerry Price, you're up, followed by Robert Peters on deck. You got 2 minutes. You're recognized. Good morning.
My name's Jerry Price, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Sure. There's going to be a meeting with the DOT, with FHP and the Sheriff's Office. And I was wondering if maybe the commissioners could send a representative to talk about the bridges in District 2, about the homeless situation. If I feel that if the commissioner sent somebody, maybe you have a good group of people to talk about some of the problems. And I've only brought this in to show you guys this, and it's about the cash that you're given at these intersections. It goes to buy the drugs, alcohol for these people that are asking for the money. Right. Some of them are even aggressive, and they try to guilt you into giving money. Oh, can't you give a quarter? Oh, yeah. And it really makes people feel bad. You have some of them taking a step out into the intersection, then take a step back. Car goes by, step out again. It's a nuisance. Other counties have and cities have put in ordinances. I know that they have the state that outlawed you can allow panhandling. Well, a lot of these cities have gone in and they put the safety measure in for vehicle safety, motor vehicle safety, and that's how they're getting around this. And Sarasota, Gainesville, Melbourne, Tampa, they all have the ordinances. Lee County, I gave you guys a paper on it.
Yes, you did.
That maybe you could your attorney could kind of guide you guys if you want to do that. But I think it'd be a great help, and that's basically what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. That's your time for the day. Sir, I would just ask you if you will send that specific address to my email. I will forward it to our counterpart at the Sheriff's Office. A lot of what they do is protected by the First Amendment, which I strongly support, but if they get into the roadway, that's a horse of a different color, and that could be an infraction. So you send me the address, I'll forward it along. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Robert Peters, followed by Sherry Myers. Good morning, sir.
Yes, I am here because I've been under a thing from law enforcement here throughout Florida, off and on. The thing is that there's a study group within the system of the deputies. I've been hit by a truck, everything else that they've hit. I've been hit repeatedly. I'm unable to use the phone because they cut it off. I'm unable to get to internal affairs. I was kicked out of the administration building because the officer said, I will not let this happen in this county no matter what, like the rest of the cities. It will not happen. And I've been fighting and fighting. I have a broken hip and everything else. I have emphysema, COPD, accelerate, all kinds of stuff, a bad heart. I've been denied medication, everything else. They're into almost every system there is and with the system. I need to talk to internal affairs immediately and have police protection immediately.
Well, sir,
It started with the county buses. It's with the county buses, it's with the county agencies of health, it's with law enforcement of the county. I tried to get to internal affairs. I was unable to. The county, the buses gave me a form to fill out because of an incident of breaking my second walker, coming down on my second walker. And so it said to come here, send a note here of what occurred. So that's why I ended up here. I've tried every other resource there is. I've been unable to get any kind of legal help whatsoever. I'm cut off at the door at attorneys. I'm cut off at police officers. I've gone to jails. I've gone to barracks. I've stopped them along the road. It's been going on for 2 decades, sir. This must be addressed. Many are in tragedy of them. Most of them, a lot of them are seniors with disability or people with disability at the lowest ed, so they can get away with the subject and situation of what they're occurring. It's a thing of study. I must see these people immediately for police protection and to go on.
That's your time for the day. Thank you, sir. It sounds like you have a lot of issues. I had a hard time following exactly. It was the police department, the bus system, the county. But Wesley Hall in the back there is our assistant deputy county administrator. If you would get with him and go through your issues one by one, if we can help you, we will. Look at him back there. Do you know who he is? He's right back there. He's raising his hand. Yeah, you got it. All right. Sherry Myers. Good morning. This is Councilman Sherry Myers, the Honorable Sherry Myers. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's good to see you this morning. I'll be very brief. I wanted to come down here and personally thank my Commissioner, Robert Bender, and I'm going to try to not crack up over this or cry. We had a very difficult situation in my particular neighborhood that had a very tragic outcome in my life, and was very stressful for the neighborhood. I would like to thank Commissioner Bender for your assistance in that matter. In other parts of my district, we're having a very stressful situation with trucks going down Langley Avenue from a stormwater construction project. Your office has just been tremendous in helping my constituents get answers to that situation. I do believe that the trucks need to be routed a different way, but I just wanted to thank you so much for everything that you've done for us in the past 2 weeks. It really means a lot. And anyway, people need to be appreciated. When you do things that help the citizens, you need to hear about it. I like to hear about it. I don't feel like I get enough thanks for the hard work I often do. And so I just wanted you to know that I really appreciate, and the citizens appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I know how passionate you are just about animals in general, and of course, sorry to hear the personal story, but really I do want to thank John Robinson and Animal Control for their quick response on taking care of the matter. And so I appreciate you coming down today, and yes, the thing on Langley, working with the school board on that, getting the constituents some information and talking with the school board. So,
well, and I would like to make a plug for more money for animal welfare. We need a lot more money. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman.
Thank you very much. Dee Ridleski is up next, followed by Paul Sharplin. Good morning.
Good morning. Flood defenders are not here to be combative or rabble-risers, as I was personally referred to in an open communication email on June 15th. In fact, flood defenders are the complete opposite. Flood defenders are not here to show any disrespect of any kind to the board or its staff. We came in front of this board a year ago, September 16th, 2021, seeking the help and guidance about a terrible flooding issue that floods our homes and neighborhood in Windrose subdivision. The flooding in Bayou Marcus Creek Branch B is not acceptable, and something needs to be done to clear out the blockages, debris, trash, sediment, beaver dams, invasive overgrowth, etc. Removing the concrete dumped at Pontiac Drive is a start, but something more is still backing the water up into our homes. I think we have established the fact that past is the past, and moving forward, we are asking our elected leadership to plan smart and protect the citizens and constituents of the county. We are asking you to restore or find other funding resources to raise the stormwater drainage budget and to be able to invest in more sufficient stormwater infrastructure and maintain so that we can continue to live in our paradise without floods being our homes being flooded every time it rains. Today, please consider flood defenders as a partner to spread the word about making flooding priority number one. Can we count on you commissioners to be good stewards of the people, we the people?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Paul or Eric? Are you Eric's twin brother? Paul.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I just want to come down here this morning. I'm very disturbed with what has happened. It's a downright embarrassment that we get a commissioner who's being recommended for removal from office from the State Ethics Commission, and he was made a quote that just was so stupid. I was sitting next to them when they had this chat. It was like listening to crooks giggling about their crimes. It came up because of the significant increase in Bender's net worth, as reported in his annual report. He was so proud of himself. May and Barry were all butthurt about it. And it's like, how can he even say that about y'all? He's the one who's about to get removed from office. And I don't know how long it's going to be, but you know, I'll be so glad when he is gone. And I just want to come down and just say to y'all, I am glad that y'all are doing a great thing. And I also want to take a minute to recognize Mel Pino for all the work she's doing with advocating. I mean, I've never saw somebody come down here and advocate like she does. She's been a great friend to me, and I just think she does an outstanding job. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, yes, sir. Charles Luther, you're up, followed by Joshua Luther on deck. Good morning, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. Again, we're here this morning to discuss the topic of abortion in Escambia County. The abortion mill is set to reopen as long as they don't have some interposition by the leaders of our county, and we need interposition by the leaders of our county. Santa Rosa County is meeting today, I understand. The commissioners' meeting will be to discuss, one of the agenda items will be to discuss making Santa Rosa County a sanctuary county for the preborn. And I pray to God that that will come to pass. We need such interposition here. Roe v. Wade did nothing to change the hearts of Americans. We don't disparage the ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade, but indeed the overturning, I should correct myself, the overturning of Roe v. Wade did nothing to change the hearts of Americans. You back up in the Supreme Court, 1962 and 63, the Warren Court in the Kennedy administration there ruled in cases which banned voluntary prayer and Bible reading in government schools. Whereas the scripture says in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So you can trace all of this. How did we get to Roe v. Wade in the first place in 73? Well, they wanted Christianity out of public sphere. 1950, 7 years preceding was Roth versus the U.S. Only 2% of American children were born with without fathers, and by 1960, up to 6% only were born without fathers. But by 2017, a 30-fold increase. 57% of children in 2017 were born outside the marriage covenant. What will we do?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your...
What will we do? I'm just trying to finish up since you have...
Sir, you're out of time.
Just so that you know, you have no indication of time.
I understand
and I'm just trying to finish up because of that.
Thank you. You've finished. Thank you. Joshua, you're up next. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, these warnings were first spoken to Israel through Isaiah, the prophet of God. These inspired words of God also speak to us today. Hear the word of Yahweh, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand, to trample my courts? Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me. I am weary of bearing them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil, learn to do well. Seek justice, relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, saith Yahweh. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it. How is the faithful city become a harlot? She that was full of justice, righteousness lodged in her. But now murderers. Thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. The princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth bribes and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries, and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and thoroughly purge away thy dross, and will take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteous, a faithful town. Zion shall be redeemed with justice, and her converts with righteousness. But the destruction of the transgressors and sinners shall be together.
Thank you, sir. Garrett Constantine, followed by David Bear on deck. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Garrett. I'm here to speak on GTL. I was recently a Escambia County Jail inmate. I just want to touch base on the costliness of GTL. The systems, my internet at my house is extremely strong. I know for a fact my computers are up to date. All my software is good. And I was still having extreme issues when it came to being able to talk to my friends, loved ones, even from their cell phones that are up to date. This problem is ongoing, not just for me, but other inmates as well. I heard from them specifically and their families as well, saying that GTL it's pulling them down. You get 15 minutes at a time, and that time costs your loved ones. They have to pay for that. You have to do with the money in the county. It's either food or talking to someone with GTL. And that's a real struggle. It's like, do I eat tonight or do I talk to someone that I love? And it wears on you. I know that, you go there for a reason, but we're punished by going there. And then now we're punished to be able to speak out to our friends, our loved ones, our children. The amount I can't even express without this list in front of me here. I'm sorry, I'm choking up. Pretty much it's the cost of it that I want to talk to y'all about. There's got to be a way that we can coerce something, anything other than GTL. GTL it's a strong arm, for lack of better words. And that's all I really wanted to say. If there's any questions or anything y'all would like to ask me while I'm up here.
How much does it cost to talk for 15 minutes?
For 15 minutes, you're looking at roughly $3 for 15 minutes.
Okay. Any questions for the speaker? All right. Thank you, sir. David Barry, you're up, followed by George Levy. You're on deck.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
during the board meeting, I would be interested to, I suppose, hear maybe an update from Director Powell
About
the status of what's going on over there. And the board's given pretty clear direction to get those things fixed
Yes, sir.
a long time ago.
Yep.
So I'd be curious to hear how
Okay.
that's going.
All right, Chief, we'll be asking you during the meeting. Absolutely. David, you're recognized. Good morning.
Good morning. David Baer, 6120 Enterprise Drive. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and thank you for everything you guys do. You've had a busy week, so thank you for your commitment to the county, for those who have shown up. So thank you.
Right.
I'm here at Public Forum today to discuss Tourist Development Council, and I apologize, Chair, that we can't have this conversation since you serve on the board with me. We couldn't do this prior, so I have to kind of do it publicly, but I sat through yesterday's budget hearing or workshop regarding the tourist development tax in the council, and we had, at our last meeting, as you recall, we did, the board, the TDC board, recommended to the county some restricted reserve fund programs and allocations, et cetera, and I didn't see it on today's agenda, and it wasn't discussed yesterday, so I'm just trying to find out if that's going to be an agenda item coming soon before the board, because if it's going to, I don't exactly know how that works, if it has to be ordinance or, if it's just policy, something that the board can do at one meeting versus public,
Which
two
one
public
was it,
hearings.
David? Because we've already voted for it, I believe, on the TDC, didn't we?
So not just the budget items, but the restricted reserve funds at
Yeah.
the TDC. So has the board already, the BOCC already approved that, what the TDC
Stefan,
recommended?
Is Stefan in here?
He's back there.
Hey, Stefan, was that part of what we did yesterday? Could you please come forward just for a second? Yeah, are you going to hold this time? Okay.
And I apologize.
No. I thought that was rolled into what we brought forward yesterday, so my apologies. I know we might have added something too, but. What was the question?
About the reserve funds.
Allison, is this okay since we're on the same thing? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so that wasn't.
But we're talking about something we already voted for.
Not all the others.
Okay, but
We already voted for it.
You can't have a de facto TDC meeting during a BCC meeting. But,
get
I mean,
that.
it's a legitimate public forum question, I think, to get a feel for what we did do. Of course, you didn't vote yesterday during the workshops.
No, of course not.
So,
But we did vote on the TDC for,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
thought that was part of what we talked about
I
yesterday.
think it's legitimate to have your
Okay.
budget director
All right.
answer.
Was that on, was the
alcohol.
recommendation from the TDC on yesterday that's rolled into it?
So Commissioner, basically the budget,
Yes.
and I actually did on those fund sheets that I did, which actually shows the reserves for the TDT, as well as the general fund and several other funds that I did. That is representative in that information that I provided to the board.
That's what I thought.
What was discussed yesterday as far as outside
Additional.
agency listings is the tourism activities
Correct.
only. That is what that represented.
All right, so David, does that answer your question?
Hey, do you mind if I?
Yeah, please,
Okay.
Robert.
And I just want to protect you also, so if you want to let
Please.
me do the talking.
Yeah, do the talking.
So David, is there a request to do a policy change from the TDC to this board that you feel would also need to be included so that we memorialize and set some policy and not just the budgetary side of it? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a subcommittee of the TDC.
Right, yep.
Meet and do all the allocations, proposed allocations. The TDC board took action to recommend it to the county commission. And so I don't know what that action needs to be to implement those recommendations.
Okay.
Right.
Or deny, or refuse to implement.
But Robert, and I understand what
Or
you're trying to
take
do
some
here,
action.
but the critical key is, we already voted for it. It's
Right.
something that's already been voted on by that board, so I don't think there's any sunshine implications here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's already been voted in the affirmative by that board.
Not to be too nitpicky, the test is not whether it's been voted on, since you can always reopen an issue.
Okay, well-
So
sounds like something that needs to come as a recommendation from the TDC to the BCC.
I thought it did, though. I thought.
That's what,
The TDC did make that recommendation.
That's what we voted on.
And that's what I'm asking today is the BOCC going to discuss it and
So we need to get with the
Confirm or
county
deny.
staff.
I got a good idea. Here, why don't we save some time here? Stefan, will you get with David, figure this out, and then
Yeah.
bring it to our meeting as an add-on, and I'll bring
Yes, sir. So you want that as an add-on today or
Today.
at the next available
it
meeting?
today.
Okay.
It's a real innocuous request. I think we could get it disposed of today, if that would be okay.
Yes, sir. We'll work on it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anything else?
that was all I had.
Thank you, David, for
Thank
being
you.
here. All right. George Levy, followed by Kathy Rushing. Morning, George. Thanks for being here.
Morning, Commissioner Burgash and the other commissioners. George Levy. I have a concern that you're talking about budgets and whatnot and where the money's going. I have a concern with the Escambia County budget potential deficiencies. The jail building is in disrepair due to a roof leak not being repaired in a timely manner, resulting in challenging the health and safety of the public and the inmates and workers. How can the county have a jail building built for maybe $5 to $15 million and then develop a roof leak and not repair it? And now there is talk of tearing it down and replacing it at a much more higher cost. How did the county not fix the leak in a timely manner? This is like buying a new vehicle and just buying gas and never going to a service for service and oil change. Keep on driving it, even when the high temperature light and the low oil light goes on. So it quits. And you want the county to buy you another vehicle at taxpayer expense. I recommend the county not build any more buildings until they can assure the budget has adequate funding for building maintenance and repairs. On the same issue, how many times has ESC, Escambia County money, been wasted on flood drainage projects that flood again after they're fixed? Another budget item is the homeless issue. Is Escambia County money being spent wisely versus the present status of the homeless and results in drug problems? Thank you.
Thank you, George. Kathy Rushing, followed by Victoria Griffin. Victoria Griffin, you're on deck. All right, good morning.
Good morning. I'm really here to talk to Commissioner May. I understand you're going to be putting sidewalks in your area, and I have no problems with you doing that. But your area also has flooding problems. So I'm here to tell you to be aware that sidewalks are great, but they're also a hardscape, which means, because I had one put in front of my house, I have the culvert in front of my house. And when it rains hard, because there is a slight income from the east and the west, it's all running through to what? Front of my house. So that's what I wanted you to be aware of.
What's your address, ma'am?
I'm at 450 West Winthrop. I have 280 feet on there.
No. So what I'm going to ask, Joy, will you get with her, please? Joy's in the back. If it's flooding, we want to fix it because I'm like, 1 second. I'm not going to take your time.
Yeah, we
I
paused
don't-
your time, so you're good.
I don't look at sidewalk as sidewalk programs. I look at them as drainage program and landscape projects. And so if it's just someone hardscaping or putting something that's made it adverse for you,
That's the main
we'll address
thing is
it.
I wanted you to realize, because of what I've had the problem with. I was out in the middle of Sally.
I am.
After Sally, where the eye was coming in over in Alabama, I didn't get the slack. But I went across the street and unblocked it because my culvert could not drain because it's blocked. And the other thing is the grass that grows beside it. If it's not kept down, so what I have done, gentlemen, I have put, when you've got the culvert, make a drain from the road to the culvert. I don't have that. I went out there and did it.
Oh, okay.
And now you can see, because my neighbors have parked on county right-of-way.
Thank you. We got the message, and your time
Can
is
I
up.
say one more thing, please?
Very briefly.
Okay. Because there's no grass up there, The sand now is washing into the culvert.
We got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being, Joy, would you please just get with her, get her a culvert and some engineering design or something, make sure she's not flooding?
Victoria Griffin, followed by Chris Kerb. Chris Kerb, you're on deck. Good morning. You're recognized.
I just got a question. When some of these developments are happening, like the one that's proposed for the Thompson Bay Villas, if there is water runoff that comes off of there, that's happened in our neighborhood on Wood Run, who is responsible for putting in drainage into our yards if there is damage, and how long would it take to fix the damage?
Will you pause for time? When we do developments, there's a development review process, and for stormwater attenuation, all of the stormwater is supposed to be attenuated and mitigated on the property that's being developed. Now, does that always happen? Of course, we know that it doesn't. But when you're talking about, it's very tough to prove these things. It's very difficult. We've had a lot of that happen over the years. I would simply say that if you're concerned, I think the thing to do is what you're doing here. You come to these meetings, you say, we have concerns. We've seen drainage issues. When you put hardscape in and you don't properly mitigate the stormwater, it's going to affect surrounding parcels. So I think the development that you're talking about has not yet been done, so far as I'm.
Right.
But I think what you're doing is absolutely correct. So all of our eyes are on it. And if that happens, I mean, we just have to get it right. But you can't.
One of my neighbors informed me that when the Governor's Gate was built, that there was a lot of water runoff into their properties, and they ended up having to put in drainage into their backyard. And so they weren't able to get the county to fix it or the apartments to fix that. So it's just a concern because of a lot of water runoff into the Wood Run area.
It's a legitimate concern.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Chris Kerb, you're up, followed by Gene Brown. 2 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm not going to read any scripture today since I don't want to offend anybody. But I am going to read something. It's the Constitution, First Amendment. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or press or of right of the people to peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Dee spoke a while ago that Flood Defenders is not wanting to be an adversarial. We want to be a partner to the county. And I've been challenged in an email as well as Dee on some certain way we're doing our advocacy. And just to let everybody know out there listening, my moral compass is based off of God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. You can shut your mouth, lady.
Hey. Talk to us. Talk to us.
Now, so because of that, that's why I try not to be adversarial. I'm also going to read something else to you.
You got 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Well, I'll email it to you. I already emailed you one thing, but it basically says, your public hearings that you had yesterday on budget, you violated my free speech by not allowing public input.
It's a workshop,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Workshop.
It doesn't matter if it's a public workshop. It's a public meeting.
It's a workshop.
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks. All right, next up. And listen, if it seems like I'm being short with Chris, he just came up and expressed, no, you're done. He expressed his Christian beliefs and things like that, which is fantastic. That's what I am. But when you go online and you run me down and you call me a liar and I don't care about public safety, you kind of muddy the waters here when you come up and want to talk about flood attenuation. Yeah. I've got the screenshots of what you said about me and my counterparts. You have the right of free speech, but that doesn't mean I have to be nice to you. No, you're done. Have a seat. You're done. Have a seat. You're done. Have a seat. Gene Brown, you're up.
I'll send you this state Congress.
You're done. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Yeah, you can have me escort.
Sir, would you, sit down or you will be.
Yeah, I got you.
You leaving? All right, see ya.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
See ya. Have a nice day. You're
I have
recognized.
something for you all.
You're recognized. Good morning, Jean. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jean Brown of 1475 Finley Drive. For 54 years, I opposed the Thompson Bayou Villas development. We have done nothing to deserve the destruction of our neighborhood. I'm here to defend my home and my neighborhood. First, I would like to ask a question. On March 3rd, 2022, we presented to the Board of County Commissioners a packet of petitions, petition to stop JoJo Townhome development and incompatible construction, now Thompson Bayou Villas. And I was wondering, what is the status of those petitions? Has any action been taken? Did we follow the right protocol? I have included a copy of the petition, which we circulated the body of it on the pink sheet that is in your information I gave you. If Thompson Bayou Villas are constructed, there are many drastic and dramatic consequences that will occur. Flooding and stormwater runoff. It will go from 100% impervious to 80% pervious. Home sanitary conditions will deteriorate. Traffic, the number of residences will increase by 500%. Traffic will increase by 500%. We are a local street and can't handle it. Finley is 18 feet wide pavement, so is JoJo. JoJo has a 30-foot right-of-way and large oak trees on the edge of the pavement. Emergency vehicle access is a problem that has been noted by the DRC. The water supply, we have 56 patched water ruptures on Finley, the street. Most of the development site is in a 20-year wellhead protection area. There will be light pollution from street lights, car
Thank
lights
you, Jean.
shining, noise pollution, and
Thank you.
crime.
Thank you. Have a great day. Stan McDaniels, followed by Melissa Pino. 2 minutes. You're recognized.
Stan McDaniels, how y'all doing today?
Fantastic.
Thanks for
Great.
hearing me. I do have a question. Is there a central location where a citizen can go to look and see just how much the total fees and taxes that are levied against our citizens? Is there a central location they go to look?
At myescambia.com, on the upper left, there's a budget. Click that, then click the icon, and you can open up the entire budget that we talked about yesterday, myescambia.com.
Well, not just the budget. I'm talking about all the
It's all
the
in there.
taxes, fees, levied.
Millage rates, the taxable, yeah, it's all there.
From the IRS, all the agencies is all on there?
I don't know about the IRS. You're talking about, if you're asking about county stuff, our
I'm
stuff.
talking about total fees,
I can't help you with
taxes
that.
levied completely for the Escambia County residents.
It's all on, go to myescambia.com and click the budget. And whatever you can't find, you'd have to send us an email. We'll direct you in the right direction.
Well, I would like to make a motion that you direct county staff to
You don't make
compile-
motions. You don't make motions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Have a good day. Melissa Pino, you're up next, followed by Kevin Wade. Those are our last two speakers.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. 2 minutes or 20 seconds. I
2
would
minutes.
take all of the time that I need to say, Michael Kimbrell, you got our heart, you got everybody's heart. It's so sad that it came to that yesterday, something that should have been sit down at a table and discuss and come to a reasonable solution, ends up in the arrest of one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my whole life. And it's just a continued travesty the way downtown is managed. We love you, Michael. Hang in there. What I really wanted to just get out today is, and I'm directing my comments to you, Chairman Burgash, does Commissioner Underhill still represent us? Isn't it not a plausible question to ask if he is still residing in D2? He has to be a registered voter and he has to have a residence.
He's
Now-
right here. Why don't you ask him?
Well, I'll leave
I'll let you ask
leave
him.
that to you guys, but I just want to throw out some possibilities since, he's not going to fully vest in his pension for 8 years, nor will Jonathan. The pension that they claim it will be unethical for them to collect on. he could couch surf. He could be provided an address that says he's still living down in Perdido Key. I watched the budget workshops from home, and he mentioned how the great thing about the North County is that nobody knows who he is up there. Talked about conversations with contractors. Of course, that anonymity will run short, with the continued call-ins to the law enforcement and the runaway animals. Won't last long. But where do we stand legally? And if he isn't actually residing in the district, can he vote today?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to it. Allison, if he doesn't live in his district, can he be here voting? Do you live in your? I don't keep track of where he lives. I could care less. But you asked me a question. I'm going to ask my attorney.
Well, I've got a commissioner in absentia anyway, so de facto it doesn't really matter. I mean, we haven't had a commissioner for a while, but de jure the question should at least be asked.
I've asked it to Allison. Allison?
Yeah, of course. An elected county commissioner in Florida has a continuing obligation, even following the election, to retain residency in the district that they represent. As you know, in this particular case, the person was drawn out of the district during the redistricting process. That particular residence becomes grandfathered in through the end of the term he was elected for. Abandoning the grandfather residence is likely problematic if the elected person has totally abandoned the district that he represents. It's challengeable by a judicial determination. There is precedence that it's challenged judicially or by complaint to the governor's office.
So we don't have any, we don't have any sway over what he does? Or do
You
we?
as a board cannot you can't keep him from voting.
Okay. So, I mean, you heard what the lawyer said. I mean, he's right here.
He's elected by the people. Only a judge or the governor.
The judge or
Or
the
the
governor?
person himself can voluntarily step aside if they have abandoned their district's residency requirement.
Doug, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am familiar, obviously, with the continual residency requirement associated with this position. I intend to continue to meet those requirements every day until the last day of my service on this board in November. So we're good to go. Anybody who wishes to challenge that is welcome to do so through the avenues that the attorney has just said.
Do I have just
4 seconds.
4 seconds left? I guess then just my request to the BOCC would be, make people aware.
Okay.
Find out.
Gotcha.
Write some letters.
Gotcha. Kevin Wade's our final speaker. You're recognized. Good morning.
Good morning. Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Boblets. There's things I'm happy to worry about, things I don't want to worry about. Don't want to worry that commissioner from my district can't go ahead and get through an ethics commission hearing without accusing the attorney for the ethics commission of lying about a video, lying about what he said in a video that she presented. That's crazy. You know, I want to follow my life with what Hunter S. Thompson told the commencement speech of always wear a hat, always make sure that you're wearing sunscreen when you leave the house. I don't want to worry that one chair will not be the empty chair. When it's an empty chair, it's a great meeting. When I see Commissioner May not in his chair in the morning to start the meeting, I worry big. You know, I know that Commissioner May has a touch with the community, just like yours, just like Commissioner Barry, just like Commissioner Bender. I know that I've seen Commissioner May in videos at the jail so many times, meeting with constituents there. And it's like my heart goes out to you, sir. I know what I've known of you during this tenure is you've had a very, very hard and compassionate terms. And we got to keep you. We need you. We don't need somebody that's violating Muni codes, you know.
All right, Kevin, that's it, man.
Anyways, thank you.
All right.
Hold on, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Kevin, you keep saying all those good things, man. I'll yield you as much time as you want.
Now you know the secret.
I mean, well, you need 10
Come on,
minutes?
Lulu.
Can I read it? So, for people wondering, honestly, Muni Code was very simple. All of you signed off on this when you end up sitting on this board. And Section 2-32 in library.municode.com reads, this is very short.
Okay.
There shall be 5 county commissioner districts of contiguous territory as nearly equal in population as practicable. That reads to redistricting. The 5 districts shall be single-member districts with 1 commissioner per district. Highlight. Each commissioner shall be registered voter of and a resident of the particular district the commissioner represents at the time of election to office and throughout the term of office. And to sit here and vote, that should be another ethics return.
Well, okay. All right. That's the final speaker, so we ran a little long. We're gonna
Commissioner
take a
Bergosh,
quick-
if I may.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know, is Myra still here? Myra, you asked a direct question of the board regarding like the petitions and things like that. I want to make sure that you understand that if the board were to violate our own practice, our own procedures by talking about those things now, we would potentially put the county in an indefensible position, in a court of law, right? So you're doing the right thing in terms of addressing each one of the line items that the developer is responsible for, proving that his development is not going to cause these problems, right? The burden of proof is on that developer, so you're doing that right. But I think that all of the commissioners are understanding what you're saying and certainly hearing your group when you come and talk to us. Do not perceive our silence as not caring or not understanding. Our silence is our understanding of making sure that we don't find ourselves in an indefensible position in a courtroom. Okay, so thank you, and continue what you're doing. You're doing it right. Identifying those items and continually pinging on those issues that the developer must meet those criteria in order to be approved. So you're doing it right. Thanks.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Be right back in 5 minutes for the regular meeting. We're adjourned. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the meeting in about 1 minute. If you could please take your seats. Thank you.
Adam.
We've got a little bit of a technical difficulty here, so we got about another couple minutes. We'll be starting up. All right, good morning. This is the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting, July 14th, 2022. It is 9:33 a.m. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board. This evening, our invocation will be brought by Commissioner Bender. Robert, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning, we have a new member back to our community, the Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Lentz, who is the First United Methodist Church of Pensacola. And welcome back. So please join us if you welcome to the community, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you all. Let us pray. New every morning is your love, great God of light, and all day long you are working for good in the world. Stir up in us the desire to serve you and to live peacefully with our neighbors and to devote this day to you. We ask your blessing upon our great county here and upon our commissioners who are leading us in this trying time. We pray this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next up, are there any items to be added to the agenda, Madam Attorney?
No, sir.
Commissioner Bender.
No, sir. I did have an update that was put out last night, though, for one of the items. Yep.
Commissioner Berry?
No, sir. I did add something relatively recently. That's part of the agenda. Just wanted to mention it in case anyone wanted to put any dollars with it.
Oh, yes.
It's
Is this
for
the
Cantonment,
Cantonment?
Cantonment football. So just throwing that out there.
Absolutely. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. I'd like to go ahead and add at that. How much are you putting in, Commissioner Berry?
3,000.
3,000. Okay. I'll go ahead and put in 3,000 as well. So can we make that happen, Delana? Just make a note of that for Cantonment Sportsplex, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to add to that. It's great.
And add another 2,000 to that as well, please.
Fantastic.
You will have some very happy folks on the second floor.
Oh. Commissioner Bender, how much are you putting in?
I'll do
yet? 1,000?
You'll have even happier folks on the second floor. So
Good. Fantastic. Appreciate that. Great
I'm
organization.
sorry.
They do
Third-
great things
third
for
floor.
kids.
And
Madam
Stephen,
Counsel, that's correct, right?
and I'm glad they're doing it. I know that Cantonment, it's a trying time.
Third floor.
Up in Cantonment, but I mean, I'm probably going to add, and probably the procurement. I know, these kids, these helmets are $200. I mean, we're even at Bellevue and at Brent and Tigers all across. So, I mean, I'm probably going to add an item on for our human services. I did some for equipment that I'm probably going to add $5,000 to get a Claire to help with equipment.
Today?
Yep, today for inner city kids.
And I'll be tagging on to that as well. Maybe not $5,000, but I'll put some into that.
I appreciate
That's
it.
important.
I'll take anybody else. I mean, we got kids at NEP too, Robert.
Yep, that's right. Okay, very good. And in addition to that, Commissioner May, did you have anything else in addition to that?
No, I'm not going to add anything else.
Okay, Commissioner Underhill?
Nothing to add, sir.
Okay, nothing from me. Debbie? Okay, nothing from Debbie. All right, very good. Commissioners Forum, Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, sorry,
yes.
we didn't vote to adopt
Oh,
the
we got
agenda yet.
someone.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I always rush past that. Okay, a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Please vote. Thank you, Delana. Okay, the agenda passes unanimously. Now we'll do Commissioners Forum. Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
All right, thank you, sir. I just want to thank everyone that made a great weekend happen last week on Pensacola Beach with the Pensacola Blue Angels Air Show. Notably, the Santa Rosa Island Authority, who puts on the event, and then, of course, all of our first responders that help keep the event safe, respond to the needs of those that are visiting, and so I think it was a great show. The weather cleared all 3 days so that they could do the high show, and I think it was a great weekend for all the businesses on the beach. So looking forward to doing it again next year for our hometown Blue Angels.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bender. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Something that happened just a little while back, but was reported today by my friend at North Escambia. It's action that was taken. I don't think anybody from Extension is here today, and I know Nick was out for the budget workshop earlier this week. But at the 4-H property in Molino on Highway 99 in Chalker, where we have the big livestock show, and it's just the property has been a tremendous success over the last 6 or 7 years, and the county has named 2 roads out there. It's something that went through a board meeting kind of innocuously a while back, but the signs have been installed. So there is a Greg Evers Way as well as a Clay Ingram Drive, recognizing the good senator who was a friend to many of us, and certainly a friend to our constituents and our taxpayers, as well as 8-year state representative who is, I think, a very good friend to us as well, and certainly a 30-year friend of mine and a friend to our constituents, and both were very influential. They were both in office at the time when we were negotiating. We were negotiating for the property, and Clay and Greg were both extremely helpful. And small sign of recognition now for the show next year. The kids will be pulling on to Greg Evers Way and Clay Ingram Drive. So
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up, Stephen. All right, Commissioner May.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And certainly commend and applaud you for Senator Evers and Representative Ingram. Greg was a good friend on the opposite side of the aisle, always gave me some good advice. And I'm fortunate, Commissioner Bear, I don't know if you knew his wife, Lori, who really helped me in my state run, but, she recently died, and so our condolences to Lori and to Lori's family. She was a dear friend. Mr. Chairman, I do want to take this time because I don't think we're going to have a board meeting before our summer youth employment ceremony. But I do want to recognize and thank the department heads and managers that took the opportunity to train young people. I think it's a great testament to the success of the program. I believe, we've gotten about 16 to 17 people who have permanent employment since we started our summer youth program, and that's not having to spend any money on advertising, not having to go and recruit, but growing our own. And so I think, the investment in human capital, what we're doing is really paying off. We had a great partnership with Escarosa this year. With Mr. McBride, I think we were able to serve almost 200 children through the allocations from this board and allocations from Escarosa. So we're looking forward to Wednesday, July 27th, and we'll have the ceremony. But we certainly want to thank all our departments and our constitutionals for participating. But I'm equally proud of our leaders in summer employment. We thank Ms. Clara and Ms. Richardson. They've done a great job in really developing this program. But with our peer mentorship, and our job coaches were young people who basically were in the program. And they took on an initiative after having a discussion with me about gun violence and mental health. And I think there's no one here that probably did not see it, the mileage that they got on Channel 3 multiple times in engaging with the sheriff, the chief of police, school board members. They took the leadership to talk about what was happening in their communities and what out of the eyes of young people. It was facilitated by our chairperson, Alani O'Neill, and Sue Strong, who both eloquently facilitated it. But the people that put it together, I've invited them to sit a part of our meeting today. And I'm just going to ask them to stand when I call their name and to let me publicly acknowledge how proud I think Ms. Richardson and Ms. Clara and myself are these young people. And our chairperson is Alani O'Neill, and you stand and you stay standing. And Alani O'Neill, co-person Javaris Carter, Jordan Palmer, Calandra Long, Chase Rogers, and Zanaya Clark. Over 300 young people engaged under their direction, meeting with community leaders, civil rights leaders, politicians on this last Monday at the Brownsville. I want to thank our PIO department for being there, all of our staff. I think a lot of our human services department was there. Some of our planning people were there. But just to have an open conversation with leadership, and I certainly recognize all 5 of y'all and everyone that was engaged. So often we talk about the shootings, the killings, the delinquency of inner city urban kids, but when they're doing positive things, we fail to publicly recognize them. And so we certainly want to publicly recognize them and congratulate them. Thank y'all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Thanks for recognizing them. Commissioner Underhill?
Nothing for the good of the whole, thank you.
Okay. And I just want to echo Robert's sentiments about the Blue Angels. I had the opportunity to see the show on Thursday, the dress rehearsal, and it was amazing, as that always is, as the Blue Angels always are, and just the crowds. We had record crowds out there, and everything with the exception of the boat that sank and a few heat exhaustion cases. Everything, for the most part, went pretty well, and that's a testament to the EMS, the fire department, all our staff out there at the island, the Santa Rosa Island Authority. They all deserve big props. It's a great economic boost to our area, to our businesses out there at the beach. So just a fantastic weekend, and I appreciate that. I would also be remiss if I did not take an opportunity. We had 2 very, very efficient, I'll use that word, budget workshops yesterday, and I pointed out yesterday that, you know, that's the culmination. Stephen Hall, you know, was on my coffee with the commissioner yesterday, and folks think that we just churn these out and just put them out in a week. It's a 9-month process. It starts in January and it runs through the end of September. So we've been working on the budget. Staff's been working with commissioners, department heads. It's been an ongoing process, and their hard work and their ability to put things together into a format that's easily accessible to the public and, most importantly for us, is the reason why the meetings went so efficiently. So I appreciate all of staff's effort, countywide, department heads all the way down, up and down, our administrator, our deputy administrators, everyone's effort, because that was the reason we had such a good meeting yesterday. I appreciate your efforts. And we will have, you know, some folks made some comments about whether or not we had public input. Workshops. We have workshops for us to work with staff and outside entities, but we have 2 budget hearings. September 6th, September 20th, in the evenings. We really encourage citizens to participate. Look online. Go to myescabie.com, click the budget tab, read all about it, and then come and talk to us. Give us your feedback. We certainly will have public forum on both of those meetings, September 6th, September 20th. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank staff, because they work really hard, and there's great information out there, and they did a lot of hard work, so appreciate that. Debbie, you're recognized. Nothing for you. Okay, moving forward now. We will go to proclamations. My understanding, we will not be presenting any proclamations today, so the chair would entertain a motion on the.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and second on the proclamations. Please vote. All right, proclamations pass unanimously. I do believe we have a speaker on written communication. We do have written communication. Would you all want to hear from the speaker first? Okay. Doug Tidwell. Yes, 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Doug Tidwell, and I have my client Fabiola Busio with me. Ms. Busio owns and resides at the property at 4415 Gurlane Way in Pensacola, Florida, 32505, which I understand is in Commissioner May's district. On or about May of 2016, Ms. Busio purchased the property through a deed from an individual named Larry Taylor. It is my understanding that Larry Taylor was a member of the bar in Florida and a former attorney in town, and to the best of my knowledge, he is now deceased. She exchanged approximately $65,000 in exchange for the deed, and Mr. Taylor did not convey marketable title to her, meaning it was further encumbered by a first mortgage, and we are still working to clarify and clear up title that she may have. At the time he conveyed it, there were considerable code enforcement liens assessed by the county against other properties that Mr. Taylor owned. The property at Gurlane Way was not the offending property, but by virtue of the assessment of the liens against all the property that Mr. Taylor owned, she inherited his liens with a face value of approximately $20,000 or more with the per diem rate. We are requesting that the Board of County Commissioners release Ms. Busio's property from the lien and either foreclose on the offending property or just release her outright from the lien. We're not asking for any relief for Mr. Taylor or his other properties. Ms. Busio and Mr. Taylor are not related or in any kind of conspiracy to get rid of these liens. She is a disinterested person and does not know him and did not know him. So we're requesting that relief from the Board of County Commissioners today.
All right. Commissioner Underhill?
Commissioner, I thought Commissioner May was ahead of me. So just a quick, Tim, the picture that you gave me, this is the condition of the property as it is today? Yes. Is that correct? And to the speaker, your client is not the offender in any way and has no outstanding code enforcement issues against her?
No, sir. Her property was not the offending property.
Understood. Okay. So this needs to go into the record, if you would, please.
Do we, I don't see that in the backup. Is that in the backup?
Tim handed it to me earlier.
Yeah.
Tim was
No
just
one gave,
predicting
it's my
the question.
district, nobody gave it to me.
So I'm sorry, I thought you had a copy as well. I think that Tim might have thought it was in my district, that's why.
Well, I tried to help a lady in your district today, so it's all good.
Cool. It's all the same, man. It's all about them, not us. So,
Yeah. Madam Attorney, do you have anything on this?
I don't disagree with anything that Mr. Tidwell has presented to you. It is one thing that you might want to know is that there was a previous request by Mr. Tidwell on the owner's behalf, on Ms. Bucio's behalf to the administrator. Under your policy, he would be allowed to provide some relief, and he did indicate he was willing to give relief of the fines in exchange for payment of the hard costs, which was $5,100, which they have not taken advantage of, indicating that it's their desire to have more or full relief as opposed to partial relief.
Okay.
But other
That's
than
a hard
that,
cost.
everything that they've said is
Yeah.
totally accurate.
I mean,
Is
Esquire
this-
Tidwell, thank you for reaching out, because you did reach out.
Of course, and Doug is fine.
Yeah, and so I apologize for not getting back with you. Got me in the time that we were out of town, and I just didn't get back to you. But I do appreciate you reaching out. So I guess it's in policy. What are you suggesting? I mean, I guess I'm certainly favorable, Esquire Tidwell, to waive it. I just don't know if it's not precedented for us to waive the hard costs typically.
Well,
So what were you?
Commissioner May, it's my position that the county has a perfectly good remedy by foreclosing on the offending property, and that address is 6842 Fields Lane. Again, I can't emphasize enough that Ms. Bucio has got no affiliation or involvement with that property, and that was where the code enforcement liens gave rise, that through the ownership of Larry Taylor ended up attaching to her property at 4415 Gurr Lane Way. So she would be being punished for his wrongs and paying and relieving obligations that were due him.
So at the time of closing, when she purchased it, these liens were not attached, Tim, at all, on the HUD statement?
Ms. Bucio is of limited means and does not speak very much English, and certainly
Right.
can't read or write. They did not conduct a formal closing. Mr. Taylor, like I said, I believe was an attorney, and she unwittingly purchased it from him thinking that she was obtaining clear title. In fact, Ms. Bucio went so far as having to pay off a first mortgage that was due Mr. Taylor as just further damage by him taking advantage of her.
Okay, so they quit claimed it over, and a quit claim deed.
Essentially, quit claimed it over.
With no warranty deed, no title work being done.
It was a warranty deed, but it didn't. The warranty deed failed. So.
So now you're trying to clear the
he did
title
not-
for her.
He did not render marketable title, and she had to go pay off a first mortgage that he was obligated to under that property.
Doesn't seem like he's a nice guy.
No.
Would you let Tim just say?
It's just, Commissioner, and just for clarity, the hard costs being discussed occurred on a different property that's still under presumably ownership of the estate. So this, although we're referencing hard costs, there are no hard costs associated with this.
And we don't have any soft costs, anything on this?
It's
at all?
there, nothing that has been generated from this property. So everything inspired from a previous, another owner, or sorry, from another property.
Commissioner May, what was the address of that other property? 6842?
That address was 6842 Fields Lane.
That's in Wedgewood.
All right, so it's.
What's the value of that piece of property?
That's what I was pulling up. It's a vacant land with a value of $2,500.
You think? Probably with delinquent taxes on it.
Owners are Marsh Harbor LLC out of Casper, Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they bought it on a tax deed and they probably never, yeah. It's just, this probably was a tax deed property as well, I would assume.
I don't think Mr. Taylor obtained Gurr Lane Way through tax deed. I think he purchased it from a previous party, and I think he was able to obtain marketable title with a mortgage from the person that he purchased it from. But unwittingly to Ms. Busio, like I was saying earlier, he passed along that first mortgage and his obligations and his tax liens to Ms. Busio, even though she did not purchase the offending property.
Yeah, I remember this, and that's why I think we had dropped it, because it was a little confusing. And Tim? The only fees are attached or just because of the other property?
That's correct.
And so what are you recommending? Recommending that we attach these fees to that property on Fields Lane, which is not worth?
Just, I mean, ultimately, it's a board decision, but it's, you know, it's, the hard part on this is, of course, it was a real estate transaction that didn't take place under a normal closing. So, you know, unfortunately, they weren't aware at the time. So
Yeah, I
really-
think they took advantage of this young lady is what I believe. Unless there's something here, Doug, that I'm not aware of. I mean, I think it's a.
No, that's correct. And as it relates to title to the property, we still have issues that we may not be able to work out for decades. So she has got problem after problem that we're trying to work through, and this code enforcement lien is.
So one quick
just one more
question,
issue.
and this will help me make our decision. We won't have to swap spit all day. Is this a homestead where she plans to live, or an investment property for rental, or is it
I believe she
something-
resides there part of the time, and she runs a grocery store in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So I believe her sister is residing there as well, and she's back and forth a pretty good bit. But I don't know, I don't think you have that designated as your homestead, do you? It is your homestead? Okay.
It is their homestead?
Yes, Commissioner.
So, what do we have the power to do, Madam Attorney?
You have lots of options, but if you want, you can certainly do a partial lien relief and relieve 4415 Gurr Lane Way from these liens. The liens would continue against 6842 Fields Lane, as well as any other properties that Mr. Taylor had encumbered by the liens, and attempt to recoup the monies through that process. That's certainly an option.
Is your client able to pay anything on the $5,100? And the only reason I ask is because typically we get buyer beware of these tax certificates, and to zero it out completely would be a precedent that I'd be setting that would probably.
I understand the county commissioner's position, but as it relates to that property, we were looking for a partial release only as it relates to Gurr Lane Way, just because she was not causing any offensive conditions on the property that gave rise to the liens. That was why we were seeking a value of $0 to be assessed against her property.
Right.
I have not looked at other properties he may have owned at the time the liens were assessed, but he may have other properties out there.
Yeah, that's what,
that
I
the
mean, if
liens
there
could
was
be assessed
other
against.
property, I mean, to try to, get the taxpayers' money back, obviously that property on Fields Lane is
But-
not very valuable.
But if the hard costs from probably the demolition of the offensive conditions on Fields Lane were only $5,000, it's certainly possible that he owned other properties that the $5,000 hard cost could be spread out and foreclosed against the offending properties. But for us to pay anything $5,000 or more for Ms. Busio to have to compensate the county for that would be punishing her for the wrongdoings of Mr. Taylor.
Right. I mean,
And it'd be rewarding him, actually.
well, obviously, the risks of doing a quick claim deed and someone taking advantage of
Well,
it. Yeah.
and again, I understand that it was not an above-board transaction, but Ms. Busio did not understand English and did not know any better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Commissioner May, do you mind, how much did she pay for the property?
She has paid approximately $65,000 to date.
What? Really?
Well, no,
I
more
mean, I
than
don't
that,
see that
because-
in the public, I
because
don't see any of that in the public record.
He continued making payments to her under a deed. The deed had terms worked into it purporting to establish a mortgage between Ms. Busio and Mr. Taylor. So in addition to making payments to him over the course of the loan, she also had to pay off a first mortgage that Mr. Taylor took out with the seller of the property where he purchased it.
Is the deed where she acquired it even through quitclaim from him even recorded?
He actually gave her a warranty deed. It is recorded to the best of my knowledge. Let me pull it up and I can read you the terms of it.
I mean, I don't, oh.
Has she made her final payment?
She's made more than a final payment because she had to pay off that first mortgage because she was getting ready to be foreclosed on by the previous seller who sold the property and owner financed it to Mr. Taylor. So she had to pay off his debts as well to preserve her interest in the property.
And Mr. Tidwell, I realize this was on the agenda, at another time. I don't remember if it was a case where we just dropped it or if you were not here. Regardless, I know it was on the agenda at one time before. I don't know that if there's more information that you can provide to us that shows some of the, if she's okay, so Commissioner May, if she has in fact paid $65,000. Then, I maybe more in line to be supportive of that. That's, I don't see that,
Right.
necessarily. I don't see that in the public record that we can see, but if you have some more documents
Yeah,
and want to
Doug.
bring it back and want to bring it back to an agenda in August.
I want to help her. I don't want to set a bad precedent. We're going to help her get through it. I hate to make you come back, but if we can get all that information.
Sure.
Where we feel comfortable that, we'll get full support. And it'll be too difficult to litigate it right here.
Okay.
But, I will make it.
And Commissioner Berry, for your edification, what I believe happened is Mr. Taylor exchanged the property to her at a minimum consideration so he would not have to pay the county further documentary stamps. And that's why the purchase price of the property does not show up in the official records.
Well, okay. What I see in the official records, the most recent record related to the property is between he and his trust.
Well, and that's a further title defect we're dealing with.
Okay. Well, I'm
Mr.
just saying
Taylor,
that-
after the purchase of the property, went and attempted to deed the property from himself to, I think, he in a trust, which
Yeah.
creates further cloud on Ms. Busio's title that we're trying to correct right now.
Well, you have an audience to try to help.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
Doug,
sure
we
that I
brought
can
it back,
take
and I
any
hate to
action
bring
for
you
that,
back, and I
but-
know that she's
Sure.
built a file for you, but here's my, Tim, we're gonna need more research because I do feel like you, Doug, in that this guy was a bad actor, and everything that we are gonna get the taxpayers' money back, and it's gonna get assigned to him. So I wanna get the detail of as you said, he probably owns more property and has done more transactions. So we're gonna find all those properties, put that back in a package, and then see how we can help,
Okay.
help her.
If we can in some measure feel very certain that we're going to recover the $5,100 from
Somewhere.
parcel X, Y, or Z, then, I don't have an issue with it, especially if they can, document that she's paid $65,000 for this property. If in fact, just hypothetically, if it was $10,000.
Right.
Then I think I'd have a different take on the conversation, but,
Right. And Doug, you've tried extremely hard. And if we can do that, and you and I'll get together before the
And if
meeting.
you want me to, I can send Ms. Rogers a copy of the complaint that I filed along with any other information, and that can evidence some or all the payments that Ms. Busio has made, paying off the first mortgage and paying Mr. Taylor in connection with the terms of the mortgage in the deed itself.
Yeah. And we'll work it out. I'm trying to save her some money. I don't want you to give her any
Okay.
more billable hours.
Okay. And Allison, I know legally that's not a really pertinent part of the conversation necessarily statutorily for our board, but, the human part of this, that is a factor, those things.
Yeah. So Doug, let's do that.
Okay.
We're going to move the dropped item, Mr. Chairman, and Doug, we'll get together. Doug, can you provide that information to the attorney and she'll get it to us?
I will. Ms. Rogers, can I easily find your email online, or can you tell me?
Can give you the best
Okay.
contact information while you're still here.
And if you just get it to Audrey as well, Audrey, make sure you get with him to get that information.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
All right,
Doug.
thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it.
I'll second the drop, and then I just have a couple quick comments.
Yeah.
If that's all right.
Motion and a
Okay.
second to drop this, please vote.
So the property is currently not homesteaded, based on what the property appraiser is telling me.
Okay.
They have not been able to change ownership due to the issue with the deed. So until they clear up the title issues, they'll not be able to transfer the title into the names, which will prevent them from getting homestead until it's cleaned up. So
you're all working on that.
Right. So I know. So I just want
And
to let
Doug,
our board
because I
know that.
want to help, and that's why I was literally deliberating, because I knew that we were going to have to clean everything up. And so let's get all that clean before we bring it back. I mean, because I want to help the family. I mean, I know what it is to be taken advantage of.
Okay, all right, thank you, Commissioner.
Right on. And
Thanks,
the
Doug.
motion to drop passed
Thanks,
unanimously.
Robert. I appreciate you getting that information.
Right. Motion to drop passed unanimously. Did the clerk's office receive the proofs of publication for the public hearings on the agenda of the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
And where were they advertised?
The Escambia Sun Press.
Escambia Sun Press.
Move to waive the reading.
All right. Motion and a second to waive the reading. Please vote. We love the Sun Press. Incredible.
That's my chairman.
All right. Motion to waive the reading passes unanimously. We're up to public hearings. We do have some speakers for public hearing. 2 speakers. Would you hear from the speakers first?
Please, Mr. Chairman.
All right, let's bring forward the speakers. First speaker is Melissa Pino.
If this is Eileen's, Kevin and I are just waiting.
Waiving in support, okay. So this is item number 1, 901, the public hearing establishing the County Memorial Wreaths Program. They're waiving in support, so the chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Item in the affirmative?
Okay, motion.
Second.
Motion second, please vote. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much for your generous donation. We appreciate that. And congratulations, passes unanimously. All right, up next, we are going to the Clerk and Comptroller's report. Pam Childers, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have 3 items on the report today. The first one is the acceptance of the May investment report. Please note that it's a $432 million portfolio. The backup is included. The second is documents that we filed with the minutes. The third is reports that we have created on behalf of the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Move the clerk's report as presented. Motion second to move the clerk's report. Please vote. All right, clerk's report passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Growth management report. Horace Jones, you recognize.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman, Board members. For today, we have the rezoning case Z 2022-05 from AGR to RR. The Planning Board made a recommendation for approval.
We have 2 speakers. Would you want to hear from? Okay. Meredith Bush, waiving in support.
That's the next
Oh,
case.
I'm sorry.
We're doing case 1.
I jumped ahead. My bad. Okay, so I don't see any speakers on that one.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, perhaps we can have the items separated in the agenda one day.
Yeah.
For
One of these
case
days.
number, well, it's tough. For case number Z 2022-05, move to approve the rezoning from AGR to RR.
Okay. Motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Motion and a second. Uh-oh, what the heck was that? Okay, all right. All right, so we do have a motion and a second for Z 2022-05.
Yes.
Okay, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, Z 2206, we have the speakers. Meredith
Yes.
Bush, waiving in support. Sam Norred, waiving in support. Are you Sam?
Sam did not speak before the planning board,
So he cannot
please-
speak here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, so any other discussions on this? Chair would entertain a motion. Doug, this is in your district. Do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I didn't have any, I mean,
You want to make a motion?
it wasn't that important who makes the motion, I suppose, yeah. I move that we accept the rezoning cases, that we accept the recommendations for the rezoning cases heard by the planning board.
All right, we have a motion? Motion and a second, please vote. Okay. Item passes 4-1. Doug, did you vote against it? No, I voted in favor. Okay, well, let's revote. The wrong button.
That might have just been a habit. I pushed the red button a lot.
It could be. All right, let's vote again. All right, passes unanimously. There we go. Okay,
Now we have item 915. This is the adoption of the official zoning map.
Chairman,
Move the 915.
Second.
motion and a second on 915, please vote. (915) passes unanimously. 916, we have speakers.
Yes, sir. This is the opt-out request is to review and transmit.
Okay, so we have two speakers. Do you want to hear from the speakers first? Okay, Jacqueline Rogers, followed by Winnie Neal. You'll each have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Ms. Neal wanted to register opposition, but she does not want to speak. She's not a public speaker, so I told her that I would say she lives next door to this property. She's lived there 57 years. She has approximately 13 acres there, very rural residential area. The properties have been in the Neal family for 100 years. She has stormwater issues now that were worsened every time the timber is harvested, so she has concerns, and the whole neighborhood has concerns about more impervious surfaces. We're not against growth. We understand they can have 3 houses per acre, but we do think some of the open space should be preserved. No study was done as to the effect that this will have on her. I sent you all a new email this morning, but basically the same thing as OSP 2020-2201. The data and analysis that is required for a future land use comp plan change was not done here. The wording says they will defer it to development review, which is not what the state statutes require. I sent you a letter with legal case precedent from Mr. Grosso. So I'm going to put the same objections here. No data and analysis was presented to evaluate the natural resources in the area. This area is part of the Jacks Branch Basin. There are stormwater issues here, but there was nothing in the staff report or in the applicant's application to say what the effect of changing it from conservation neighborhood to mixed-use suburban is, and that is required. The applicant has the burden of proving that there's sufficient transportation infrastructure. That's not done. That was deferred to development review. The staff has that burden too to present that data and analysis. They did not do that. So no natural resources, no stormwater analysis, no traffic. These are things that are required when you have a comp plan amendment changing to mixed-use suburban. Deferring the data and analysis to the development review and permitting stage is not a professional planning practice, contrary to what Mr. Jones maintains, and that analysis is required by Florida statute. So I've said this, I've sent this same information to the Department of Economic Opportunity, and for the same reason, I oppose this, and I think you should deny it. Whatever your personal aspirational goals are for the sector plan, this was not done according to state statute. Thank you.
Okay, all right, we have no more speakers as apparently Ms. Neal is waiving in opposition. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion on the 916, unless there's other discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move the 916 in the affirmative.
Second. Please vote. (916) passes unanimously. We have 917. We have speakers.
917, again, to review and transmit. This is another opt-out request to review and transmit.
Opt-out request, we've got two speakers. Meredith Bush, waving in support or opposition? Support? Waving in support. Jacqueline Rogers, you waving in opposition? Waving in opposition? No. All right, 3 minutes.
No, sir, but I won't be long. The same arguments are here too. There's not even, this is for a commercial proposal, and there's not even documentation of water capacity. This is all deferred to the development review, and that is not what is required by Florida statute. So if you would reread the letter, I know today you probably will just vote for it, but if you would reread the letter from Mr. Grosso that I included in there, there's case law why it has to be done now. We have no traffic concurrency. So when they get to the development review stage, you can't tell them they cannot develop because you have taken traffic concurrency out of our codes, our local codes. There is no school concurrency. That's why at the land use amendment stage, why this all has to be done, and that's why the state requires it. But this county refuses to acknowledge that. So I'm in opposition, and you should vote to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion on the 917.
Mr. Chairman, I move the 917 in affirmative.
I'll second it. Please vote. All right, 917 passes unanimously. Okay,
Yes,
GMR
sir.
action items.
Then we have two final plats. We have the first final plat concerning preserve at Deer Run Phase 4. This is for final plat approval.
Okay, no speakers on either of those. Chair would entertain a motion on 1 and 2. That's okay. Chair would
Move
entertain a
1 and 2 in the affirmative.
Second, please vote. GMR 2, 1 and 2 pass unanimously.
Then we have our consent agenda for August the 4th.
Okay, this is just for scheduling things?
Yes, sir, for scheduling only.
Okay, Horace, I just want to, one of these that we're scheduling is for next week? Is that what it would be? Or is it for August 4th?
August the 4th.
August
Yes,
4th. That one of those is for an upzoning in Beulah, where we're going to be doing a master plan.
Yes.
I know we're just scheduling it. I've spoken to my planning board rep. That's one, I haven't voted for any upzonings up there. I mean, they had a massive upzoning in 2015 when we consolidated the designations. I'm not going to be able to support it.
Yeah, whoa.
What?
It's a quasi judicial hearing.
I'm just,
The
can I not?
decision needs to be made on the hearing on August the 4th.
Sure, okay.
On the
well,
record that's presented on August the 4th, so I would highly recommend
I mean,
not.
but this is for scheduling it, and I'm
Yes,
trying to
sir.
come to a point about whether or not it should even be scheduled. But I mean, if,
That, the applicant is certainly entitled to be heard.
okay, all right. Chair would entertain a motion. Sorry, Horace.
Yes, sir. That's good.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second on the consent agenda. Please vote. All right. Oh, Lumen? Oh, it just came through. All right. No, you're all right. Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, moving forward. All right, gentlemen, we have no speakers up until the county attorney's report. So would defer to you guys on if there's any items you want to pull. Yeah, I mean, we've all had our review sessions. We've all gone through the agenda. Chair would entertain a motion.
Oh, sorry.
What are we moving?
Yeah, no, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So the technical technical public service consent, if that was the motion, I second that motion.
I'll second if that's the motion then.
Okay, so the motion is to approve in its entirety the CAR technical public service consent agenda. We have a motion and a second. You got that, Delana? All right, please vote. We'll do it in stages. We'll do it live. All right. Technical public service agenda passes unanimously. CAR 2 budget finance, 0 speakers. Chair would entertain a motion.
Commissioner, I request that we drop 16,
Drop 16.
17, and 18.
Okay. Okay, so does that come together combined with a motion on the balance?
I do have a question on 7, just for clarification.
So you want to drop your motions?
So I want to hold 7.
Hold 7.
Drop 16, 17, 18.
Okay. I'm inclined to second that unless anyone else has something they want to pull.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll hold see if there's anything else anybody wants to add to it. All right, so I'll add hold 9.
Okay, so your amended motion is it hold this, to hold 6, 9 and drop 16, 17, 18? Or is it 7?
7 and 9.
7 and 9.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good with Commissioner Benner's motion.
Is that your second? Is that a second?
Yes, it is a second.
Okay, motion is second on the disposition of this. Please vote. Delaney, are you good with that?
That's everything else is moved
right.
as part of the balance, right?
Correct.
Okay,
We're
just
holding
making
7
sure.
and-
Thank you
hol-
so much.
Holding 7, 9, dropping 16, 17, 18.
That's what I've got. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah, yeah. And we're moving the balance. Yep. All right, now we're all on the same page. Please vote. But that was brutal. God.
Glad you dropped it. I don't like where the funding source came from. And so I
All
hope
right,
if it's
that
brought
passes
back, it
unanimously.
doesn't come back with that funding source.
All right, 6, Robert, you're up.
Sorry, it was 7.
I'm sorry, 7.
I just want to clarify. So I think this is a great it looks like we're doing a great thing here. I just want a clarification. The W Street Tax Office that's on here, is that the building that we own on the east side of the street that we'd originally, yes? Okay, perfect. Then I have no issues with it. I just wanted to make sure it was our building and not the one across the street that they're currently in. I think this is a great opportunity. It's something where I guess we put it out to bid a couple times. Nobody's bid on it, so they've got Career Source Escarosa coming in to provide equipment, labor, and a project manager to do a repair. So I think that's awesome.
It's
So,
fantastic. Chair, would entertain a
I'll
motion.
move it then.
All right. Motion.
Yeah, I'll second. Rob, quick question about it, though. Escarosa is providing the labor, correct? Yes. And what will be our material? Well, you probably ought to come down.
And I think we have a representative from, he's ready to talk. So, but it looks like the materials are coming out of our disaster fund because they're Hurricane Sally related.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I was just, just for the record, what the material costs and what the savings that we're getting from labor, I think it's a good program.
The labor will be the savings there. We'll be paying for the material costs probably out of the FEMA funds.
How much do you know the material costs?
I do not know at this time.
But okay. All right, well, I think it's a good program.
I agree.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We got a motion and a second on 7. Please vote.
Rob, you can stay because I got a question for you for number 9.
All right.
So are they painting the inside and outside for $95,000? What are we?
7 passes, wait, hang on one second.
I'm
7
sorry.
passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dice. Okay, you're up.
Sorry about that.
No, you're all right.
Mr. Chairman.
You're all right.
Never like to get ahead of you.
You're
exactly-
asking about the ECAT?
Yes, sir.
That's the exterior of the building only.
So they're pressure washing it and paint, and
Yes.
this was the low bid, $95,000?
Yes, it was.
Wow. Seems a little extensive, but,
It's a big building.
yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've dropped 16, 17, and 18. We're up to 9. Or what, I'm sorry, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't actually have a motion on 9
Yeah,
yet.
9, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't do 9 yet.
I'll,
All right.
Commissioner May, you go with moving 9 then? Yeah. All right. I'll make the motion then.
Wait, she's shaking her head. Because I thought we had to go to 9. All right, so we're on 9, and then we'll go to discussion.
All right, so I'll make the motion then to move it forward?
Yeah.
Motion and second, Lumen?
Yeah.
Second, okay, we got a motion and a second to approve item 9. Please vote. Delaney, are you good?
But we could have got
Smile.
Wilson to paint it for cheaper.
He did, I mean, I guess since he didn't bid.
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
well, yeah.
Maybe not.
Well,
All right, 9 passes, 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais. Okay, now we're moving forward to discussion. Give me 1 second.
The library.
We're at car 3 for discussion.
We have a
We have
ballot.
no speakers, so we've got some we have to vote on a, do we have to vote? Yeah, we got to vote on the appointment to the library board. There's several resumes that we've considered, so we just got to choose one. So she's going to give us ballots. You were ready.
Just one.
Just one. We're voting for one from the 3. That's a good question. Are any of the 3 potential nominees here Amber Casart, Patricia Veal, or Larry Keller? Not seeing them here. Nope.
Todd, are any of these people already active in the library system?
I've seen Amber before, the other 2, I may have seen them, but I don't know them by name.
Oh, okay.
Not active as far as programs and things, no.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 votes for Amber Casart, 2 votes for Larry Keller, and 1 vote for Patricia Veal.
All right. Okay, so I guess we're going to do a second ballot.
So the second ballot would be between the
Casart
two.
and Keller.
Yes, okay.
So we should just cross out Veal. Second ballot. Oh, no problem. There you go. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we have 3 votes for Amber Casart and 2 votes for Larry Keller.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move to appoint Amber Casart.
Second.
Motion and a second to appoint Amber Casart. Please vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Congratulations. So there she is. Robert, we're up to number 2, and I'm sure you want to talk about that.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So back in October, I'd asked the board to authorize proceeding with due diligence to obtain the property at 8800 North 9th Avenue. We've done the appraisals and also got facilities to look at it. So at this time, I'm asking to be able to negotiate in good faith with UWF. I know they have some steps they have to go through in surplusing the property and probably acquiring their own appraisal. So I just wanted to go ahead and identify the funding that I'd like to use. I'd also like to state that I think it's going to take about little over $500,000 based on what Facilities has determined to bring it up to where we'd like to have it. I plan on using my discretionary funds for that. So I'm asking to use this funding source for the acquisition of the property.
What are you going to do with the building?
Community center, so we don't have one in District 4 in the unincorporated areas, and so allow meeting space, do programming, things like that.
So you actually plan to run programs out of there?
Yep.
Sherry Myers would be happy.
I hope so.
I mean, obviously.
So-
But, and you know, Robert, sometimes they'll complain that there's not a community center in District 4, but like my district, like yours, the city has so many community centers within the city limits. And before Steve and I got on board, there was no money into community center. There was no programming. There was no after-school program. There were no summer programs. The county never did anything for community centers other than acquire buildings, and they didn't operate them. So, I think we should be operating our buildings. I think we ought to be operating Wedgewood, Dory Miller, all of our centers. I think we should. But when people will say that you don't have a community center, well, you have the nicest community center. You have Vickery Center. It's the nicest tennis courts, and we contribute millions of dollars from this county to a city asset. So when people saying we're not putting money into recreation in District 4, that's just very untrue.
No, and I'm not saying that, but of course, the residents at Ferry Pass and even, some of Stevens in that north end there.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying,
South End, rather.
the rhetoric of we don't put money into, District 4 recreation is just even unfair to you.
No, sir, I understand that. And,
the
like I said-
largest recreational park is the beach, and they get a lot of money.
Anyway, that's my ask.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm a big believer in community centers. I think we should put more money in community
So
centers.
is that a motion and a second?
Yeah, a second.
Okay, so
All right.
Robert made a
Yep,
motion.
I'll make the motion, remove A, B, and C.
Lumen second?
Yep.
Yep, Lumen seconded. Okay, please vote. Okay, that passes unanimously. Good luck, Commissioner Bender, with that.
Thank you, Board.
Yeah, we'll all be rooting for you.
Okay.
All right, next up is the county attorney's report. We've got 2 action items. I've got a speaker on the second one, so we'll entertain a motion on the first one, unless you want to speak about it first. All right.
This, the opioid task force, this will complete the 5th of the 5 members of that task force. So that's good news. We'll have all 5 members ready to go.
Mr. Chairman, I move items A and B. Number 1, item A and B.
Okay, 1, item A and B. Okay.
Correct.
Second.
Motion is second on that. No discussion, please vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Item number 2, we have a speaker, David.
Item 2 is the other settlement.
Yeah, it's a settlement.
I didn't move
Yeah,
that.
I think Mr. Bear probably wants to speak on the discussion item. I
Okay.
wouldn't think he
We're on the action item. Okay, so never mind. So we have no speakers on, no one, okay.
Move
you're
the
right.
second action item A and B unless Allison needs to give more information.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is, okay, that's what I thought. All right, please vote. Okay, Commissioner Underhill? Okay, that item passes unanimously. Okay, now we're up to discussion items. We have several speakers, starting with David Bear. While he makes his way up, Allison, do you want to briefly just kind of set the table what exactly this is, this request, and what we're doing?
Absolutely. As you can see, we have a public records request for all the SHADE meeting transcripts that are related to these 2 cases that had to do with public records that were brought by Mr. Bear as the plaintiff against the county and other parties that include Commissioner Underhill in his personal and in his official capacities. Just as a reminder, there is a privilege that attaches to those transcripts that you as a whole, as a body, hold that privilege, and only you as a whole can waive that privilege. Both of these cases are still active in the state and federal courts. The county in any capacity is in the process of being out of these cases. There is a dismissal that's pending, and it's technically still alive, though, so I wanted to make sure that the board as a whole waives any privilege before those transcripts would be turned over to Mr. Bear. We have identified, I think, 5 transcripts that would be subject to this request.
Are they already written up and ready to go?
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. So, like, as soon as we vote to do it, you could press the switch?
I would think that pretty quickly, within 24 hours, we could have them to Mr. Bear.
Perfect. All right, David, you got 3 minutes?
All right, thank you so much. David Bear, 6120 Enterprise Drive. Thank you, Allison, for teeing that up. I did do a public records request for a copy of the transcripts from the SHADE meetings related to our litigation. Back in January, the county and I came to an agreement, as you remember, and we settled that portion of our lawsuit. In that litigation, that portion of it has been completed. We now have filed another it's not a motion, it's a stipulation to settle the remaining portion of the county litigation, and we're just pending the judge's order to actually settle it. And so since now the litigation is substantially completed, essentially it's done, although it's still open, I think it's fair to get a copy of those transcripts, and I'd like to get them. So I'm here today to ask for those.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Melissa Pino, followed by Kevin Wade.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblitz. There's been so much dis and mal information circulated about the release of transcripts that I just wanted to take some time to underline a few facts about them. And as someone who watched the ethics hearings, all of them, Commissioner Underhill had volumes to say about why it was so important that he release the transcripts to the SHADE meetings on the ECUA lawsuit down in Inner And there weren't a lot of people watching those hearings, which might have been a good thing because they were a little bit of a 3-ring circus as it was. And then when they had the hearing on the clerk's suit, all of the people on there, it ended up a mess. And so I'm glad the public saw it, but people started Zoom chats and things, and luckily none of that happened. It was a very clean proceeding on Commissioner Underhill's ethics hearings, which the AG's office was prosecuting as the advocate for the ethics committee. People are a little bit confused about that, and of course Commissioner Underhill has already pled guilty to 2 of the 7 probable cause findings, but then in addition, he already admitted guilt under oath. He doesn't seem to consider it guilt that he released those SHADE transcripts, even though it was against the law and certainly ethics, because to his mind, it was for a public good, and he has said he would do it again. He made that very clear, and he made that statement over and over, that he had to answer to his higher calling to the public and circumvent this vote that you're about ready to take. And I want to remind everybody, because this was played in video, previous meetings on those SHADE transcripts were played. Of course, that was the point where Commissioner Underhill accused the AG of splicing video to edit his words out. Of course, she didn't. And what I was reminded of in watching those meetings again is that Commissioner Barry actually said that if Commissioner Underhill would have brought it through the proper process and asked his peers to vote for the release of those transcripts, he would indeed have voted for it if Commissioner Underhill had put it through the proper proceedings. Of course, he didn't, and so Commissioner Berry, to my mind, rightfully said that he wasn't going to vote retroactively to condone an unethical action. So hopefully, Commissioner Underhill will vote for this so the public can see these today. Thank you.
Kevin Wade? Wave in support. Okay, Chair would entertain a motion on this, or any discussion, or Allison?
Yeah, I do definitely need a motion because this was just teed up as a discussion item. So if you could
Okay.
indicate that you're waiving the privilege and are allowing the release. Or
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes, Commissioner Underhill, then Commissioner Berry.
Since I'm obviously the subject of this very impassioned obsession, I'll need to abstain from this. I will take the opportunity to say that, during my time on this board, I think I've sat in like 70 shade meetings. It is definitely my position that this county misuses that exception to the Sunshine Law, as I stated during the hearing. So, by all means, the business that we do in this county should always be done in front of the people to the greatest extent possible. I don't believe we do that as a board. And these shade meetings and executive sessions are very much a problem for me. So, by all means, as you guys are very well aware, what I say on Facebook, what I say in the grocery store, and what I say on this dais are the same. And there's never any difference between those. So, believe that you guys should certainly, as I know you will, vote your conscience on this. But as for me, I'll have to abstain. Madam Attorney, if you could get the abstention documentation over to my office, please. Thank you.
For a clarification, I think you have to abstain, but you also have to state the publicly what the reason is, right, Allison? Or, I mean, can't.
Yeah, my statement that I am the subject of the lawsuit. So obviously that would cause me to have the need to abstain in the vote.
Okay, all right, well. Stephen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to waive the executive privilege and release the transcripts.
Second. Please vote. All right, it passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill abstaining. All right, up next, items added to the agenda. Commissioner Berry, we took care of yours? Okay. Lumen, did you have yours taken care of as well? Okay, all right. So, how much? Yeah, I did, but I don't know if I specified how much. Did I? Okay, all right. For the helmets. We need to do that. Delana, what's the best way to make this work?
Commissioner Bergosh, I actually have that noted as an amendment to the agenda when we adopted the agenda. So I have the additional discretionary from yours, Commissioner Mays, and Commissioner Bender's districts noted in.
For Commissioner Berry's.
For Commissioner Berry's item with a sportsplex.
Okay, but I want to add some to Commissioner.
Okay, so I have that you are going to bring an item for that. We're going to go ahead and do that verbally now.
Yeah, okay.
Can we do it like a separate motion for that so I can just add it
Sure.
as a separate item since it wasn't already on the agenda, Commissioner May? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to add $3,000 for sporting equipment for our recreation and human services.
Okay, and I'll match that with the 3,000 for my district.
All right.
All right, so do we have a repository of some helmets right now? Did Michael?
He gave all those out.
Okay, so they've all been.
They're all gone.
Okay.
I mean, you can't even find them. Yeah, that's why people can't afford them. So no, those are all gone. Mike gave them out. I think he gave them all out to cantonment. Or
I'm not sure about that.
No, I mean, but yeah, but
I've got 3 football fields. I'm not sure it all went to cantonment. Commissioner, I'm absolutely supportive of this. I don't know that it's necessary to use discretionary money to do it. I think the board could give in my opinion, I think the board could give some direction to Clara, and maybe with the help of Michael may be able to help her put her in the direction to find the equipment.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as bad as it was, I know, a couple years ago, there was a real issue getting
Getting it in, you know,
getting
because of
just the
COVID.
physical equipment in.
Yeah,
I don't know
they're
if that's
still
a
having
problem.
problems.
It's
I know for a
supply chain.
fact. Yeah, it's horrible.
So I would be very supportive of the board of a motion that just directs Clara to work with Michael and take $10,000 out of, out of Human Services to purchase the equipment. And if we need to clarify that funding source maybe on Tuesday, we can do that. I'm happy to work between now and
wanna
then
change the motion?
to do that.
That's fine. If we,
Then
well, I'll
it's-
save my
it's-
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'll
more
save mine
stuff,
too.
and y'all don't spend money on it, and there's, like I said, but if you'll give me just a couple days, I'll
bring it
work in
Tuesday.
stuff, and we'll.
Yeah, I don't want to adversely affect Claire's budget, but if we can find it.
There'll be some extra money somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. I'm good.
So we don't need to make a motion today.
No,
We can do it on Tuesday. I
Yeah.
think that's and if we could, somebody,
I'll drop it.
if somebody would take, I don't see Dawn in here.
All right, so we're
but-
going to bring this back Tuesday, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't-
with some more clear guidance.
That's perfect. I'll just make a note in the minutes that it was
Thank you.
discussed and will be brought back Tuesday.
All right, Dawn, and I'll offer up Dawn to be able to do that. So I'll ask Dawn to do the add-on for Tuesday
Perfect.
at our request.
Yeah, and if you
Okay.
need some discretionary,
Okay.
I'm there to help too.
But we'll look for 10 then.
Okay. All right, anything else? Any announcements? Anything for the good of the whole? Looking around? We're adjourned.